ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay. So we are meeting after a week gap. Any questions, clarifications? We saw the four schools of Mimamsa, okay? Of Charvakas. Okay. So any questions, clarifications on that, or it's simple? You know, one of my Guru Bhais asked me a very interesting question, juniors actually. Said, is there any dharma in the Charvakas? What do you all think?
Swamiji, I had the same question. They must be having some philosophy, everything.
They have.
I mean, they have some philosophy, sure. There must be something more to it.
Yep. They have a philosophy. Their philosophy is khao piyo maja karo. Because.
So another live in present.
Huh?
Live in present.
Living in the present. Bharati also said the same thing. No, I don't think the Charvakas are living in the present for the simple reason they are planning for future enjoyments. At breakfast they will think of lunch, at lunch they will think of tea, at tea they will think of dinner. आज इधर जाएगा ये खाएगा. Where is a party tonight? So where is living in the present? There is no living in the present. As I said before, just because things are written in Sanskrit doesn't mean that everything written in Sanskrit is true, okay? My question is, do you think they have a dharma? थोड़ा सोच लो, सोचना अच्छा ही है. Because now if you have to...
I have come across many of these kind of people. A lot of my patients are this type of people, But I have seen that they are very helpful. They enjoy life, but they help others also in the way, and then business prosper and all. Lot of things, they are quite helpful. That's what I have just observed with their talk and all.
What did I start off the whole thing with? If you remember the Charvakas, or if you go back to the recordings, if you will find I quoted one verse from their Charvaka text. That verse said, Yavat jivet sukham jivet. As long as you live happily. Ranam krutva gritam pibet. Even if you have to incur debt, drink ghee, meaning enjoy the good life. Basmi bhutasya dehasya. Once your body is reduced to ashes, punar agamanam kutaha. Who's there to come back? What does this imply of their philosophy?
No hoarding. No hoarding or keeping properties for the future and things like that.
They are only thinking of having a good time. What we had done in our workshops a long back, pleasure-centered people. That is the philosophy. You may find somebody enjoying the good life and also helpful. They are not Charvakas necessarily. I know people like that. They are very good people, very dharmic, etc. But they also believe in having a good time. I don't think you are getting the Charvaka philosophy. Are you all getting the Charvaka philosophy? If not, ask me. Kavita, you are muted. You are saying something, but you are muted. Are you all getting the philosophy? Yes or no?
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay, that means I can go ahead. But you have not answered the question. Do they have dharma or no dharma?
Swamiji, they may be having relative dharma, which is if they want to have only pleasure in their life, come what may, they will. It's not the universal dharma that we talk about, but maybe in their quest for pleasure, anything and everything is fine.
Exactly. In their quest for pleasure, anything and everything is fine. Yeah. So you don't really expect pleasure-centered people to follow dharma. Now, because dharma is universal and instinctive, some amount may be followed because it's universal and instinctive. But as a systematic following of dharma is not there. Why? It's all about having a good time. If you are pleasure-centered, can you really have dharma? I mean, why don't you all stop and think for a minute? Instead of expecting me to spoon feed you.
Swamiji, I think the moment the pleasure is hampered, that person will give away dharma. Slowly
Exactly.
the dharma will go away out of his life.
So dharma is only of convenience.
It's of convenience.
Yeah.
So till somebody, it's to my pleasure, I follow dharma. The moment that something is not to my liking or thing, dharma doesn't exist for me because it's taking away my present, and the future and afterlife I don't believe in. So then I am ready to break dharma. There is no dharma for me then. And slowly the person is likely to drift into a dharma. Very few people will be remaining a charvaka and still following the basic dharma. But slowly
one.
it degenerates
Good point.
from one thing to the
Yeah.
other, which I have seen among my friends or some people.
Yeah.
Initially they are following dharma, but then slowly the thing breaks. Then slowly one step at a time, they are willing to break their principles and values.
Because there are no principles when you are pleasure-centered.
Yeah.
And you are not thinking of past and future. You are only thinking of keeping your debtors away. You are thinking, because he says, incur debt to have a good life.
Yeah.
Then do you think you are going to pay off that debt?
नहीं, मरने के बाद पैसा किसको देना?
एग्जैक्टली मरने का बाद तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है, फिर क्या फर्क पड़ा?
But Swamiji, I don't understand this because in our community now, last 1 or 2 years, so many people have done major ghotalas. They are in debt for lakhs of crores of rupees, and they are the big people of the mandirs and the temples, and they are doing lot of puja, and they call everybody for the puja and all that. So on the other side also, even all of us, we are all a little pleasure centric now. And we all take a little elbow room in small things we do sometimes in life. So, I mean, how can there be an extreme? Can there be an extreme? There can always.
Sunita, are those people Charvakas or Jains?
Sorry, Swamiji. Charvakas.
Are those people Charvakas or Jains?
Acha. But Jains.
अभी चमका थोड़ा. Did the tubelight come on?
But वो अलग होता है क्या? Because.
Now you're getting it. You're talking about your community where they seem to be enjoying the good life. So Jains enjoy the good life, let us say. They also believe in tapas. They also believe in fasting. They also believe in dharma.
Not good life.
Huh?
Even indebting.
Then one second. What are you confused about? We are talking about Charvakas, not Jainism.
Okay.
Yeah. See, just because someone enjoys pleasures doesn't make you pleasure-centered. What is being pleasure-centered? Sunita, what does it mean to be pleasure-centered?
Only focus on pleasure.
Pleasure is at the core of your value structure. Everything that you do comes from the focus of how you can have more pleasure. Your decision making is also pleasure centered. You will make those decisions which will give you pleasure, not dharma. Your guiding light for your decision making is also pleasure, not family values, good for children, etc., etc. That doesn't come into the picture. Children you have for your pleasure, hoping that they will add to your pleasure, look after you when you are not capable of doing much yourself. Are you getting what I am trying to say? How much power will a pleasure-centered person have in life? Power is the ability to get things done. How much power will be there?
Very little.
Very little, because you are pleasure-centered. What power do you have? All the time you are seeing where the party is tonight. Where is your power? Ability to get things done. It's undercut by your need for pleasure. At least money can get something done, but your money is only meant for pleasure. Your power is meant for pleasure. Therefore, abuse of power will take place if you are in a position of power. Exploitation of juniors, sexual harassment cases. Because you are pleasure centered. Don't confuse being pleasure centered with having ananda as your goal. Don't confuse the two. A dharmic person can also enjoy the good things of life. But you won't abuse dharma for the good things of life. Am I making myself clear?
Yes.
Okay. If there are any questions, please ask. This is the most basic of all philosophies, okay? Yeah.
Swamiji, ignorance that I am the body and mind is something natural. But on top of that, this philosophy has been like thought about.
Yeah.
So it's like superimposition on superimposition.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Like,
I am the body and mind is natural. Remember what I said before? You have thought elaborately and concluded wrongly. People are not paying attention to these statements, Oh, sun ke ja raha hai. It's going through one ear, coming out of the other. It's supposed to go in through both and sink into your heart. You retain that. The Vedanta class, this is no more Sunday morning time pass, okay? Yeah. So you thought there is something which is a natural conclusion without thinking, I am the body, I am the mind. Now you elaborately thought about it and concluded, yes, that is true. A mistake has been justified with philosophy. Now, out of the 4 Charvakas, who will be the grossest? Out of the 4, who will be the grossest? Socho there. I am deliberately asking questions because you all are supposed to be among the senior most students now. It's not a beginner's class anymore.
Swamiji, obviously the one for whom food is important.
Beg your pardon?
Yeah.
1 second. Swarna is saying something. Yes, Swarna.
No, I thought obviously because for the one who, for whom the food is more important, food is soul, food is Atma. is Brahma.
Yeah, the body is the Atma. Yes.
The body.
Yeah. Dehoham Atma iti. For that person, correct. He'll be the grossest of the two. No? At least those person who thinks mind is the Atma may enjoy some music, this, that, etc. also. What is that statement in English? It's a French word, I think. La dalca vita or something.
It's Spanish, La Dolce Vita.
Spanish, na? La dalca vita. Yeah, Spanish word it is. Yeah. Having the good time. So whole focus is on the good time. Yeah. See, no Vedanta, and remember this, is against the simple pleasures of life. Have you all seen sadhus eating a bandara? Dekha hai? At Rishikesh we had. When we had that camp, we had a couple of bandaras sponsored by us, like Sunita and all had sponsored. Sunita, Suresh and all had sponsored a bandara. I don't know how many people came to see it, even though it was our bandara. You know, I give you all these experiences so that you will learn something from it. Don't pick and choose. Don't pick and choose. It's a holistic experience, okay? If an experience is holistic, if it is teaching, that's also holistic. If you had seen that, you would know nobody is against a good time. Nobody is against a good time. But you don't make that central to your philosophy, central to your life. Big difference on that. Just because another couple here enjoys Sunday morning breakfast, coffee and breakfast, that couple enjoys. That doesn't make them charvakas. She's a student of Vedanta, but she enjoys that bonding time with her husband over coffee and this on Sunday morning because you're working throughout the week, including on a Saturday. That doesn't make you a charvaka. Yeah. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, people will think, okay, if I'm having a good time, that means oh, I should not have a good time. You will get your middle class morality into it. Good time is bad. There's something wrong with your pleasure center then. You know, in your brain there is a pleasure center. Everyone has it. It makes you enjoy, gives you some experiential pleasures which are important in life. Pleasure centeredness is not a problem of the brain. Pleasure centeredness is a problem of your thinking. Therefore, for a charvaka, the chances of dharma, etc., are very poor. Following a dharmic life doesn't come. In fact, they go to say all these religious priests and teachers and all are knaves and fools out to exploit people. Yeah. They were the first writers against the Brahmins, against the Brahminical class. Some leftists quote them. Some leftists in India quote them. Why? There is very little difference between leftists and charvakas anyway. One is dialectical materialism, other is mechanical materialism. Itna hi farak hai. Yeah. So charvakas are also anti-religion, anti-spirituality, anti-philosophy. So are the leftists.
Swamiji, where do we find Charvakas today? Like, are they?
See, Charvakas as a philosophical group doesn't exist as such. But they will find many of their descendants who are living like that, believe only in a good time, nothing more than that in life. You may not find a group of people propounding that philosophy. as a systematic philosophy. But you will find people living like that.
Swamiji, are hippies Charvakas? Can we call them Charvakas?
Beg your pardon, are?
Hippies, can we call them Charvakas? Hippies
So-
whom we find.
Sorry, I can't get you. What are you saying?
The hippies whom we find on the are those Charvakas? Or,
Yeah, in a way they were Charvakas. They had some other philosophies impinging them, but basically they will also be considered Charvakas. No rules, no regulations, live the free life. I asked you all to see that movie Island. Remember that? You will see all types of stupid shows. Big Boss, some Saas Bahu serials. But when someone like me says, see one thing, how many of you have seen it? Please put up your hands. 2, 3,
I've seen it.
4. What did you all think about that whole culture? It's totally pleasure centeredness. Na? That leader of that group was willing to kill to keep that lifestyle going. Where is dharma? The leader of the group was willing to go and sleep with somebody else other than a partner. Why? One night of pleasure. They could not look after one of their own who was injured in a shark attack. Kept him away so that they won't hear him groaning away. What is that if not being Charvakas? I mute them all, they unmute and then they start making racket on the... Yes. So this is where the whole thing is coming from. People behave like that. You may not find someone saying, I am a Charvaka. You may find someone saying, I am a Buddhist, I am a Jain. But you won't find someone saying, I am a Charvaka. But their lifestyle will reflect that. Their lifestyle will reflect that. They may be good at making money. Why? Because they need money to enjoy. But such people will not build up institutions. And if there are people who believe in a good life also in building up institutions, they are not Charvakas. They have some other philosophy, but they also believe in having a good time. Clear? Doubt hai to puch lo abhi.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can. Please continue.
Okay. So one is grossest is annamaya. Okay. That is, we were discussing. You asked a question. What is the grossest?
Sashi, you are in yesterday's newspaper. We have moved on a long way from there.
No, sir, my question is not over yet.
Yeah.
Sir, another is Atma Vai Jayate Putra. I had a doubt whether this will be the grossest.
What do you think it is?
So I am not able to decide, that's why I asked you.
And I am asking you to think, when someone says, Mera beta mera jaan hai, and behaves like that, what does it mean?
He is identifying with the son.
With the child. Ha. Therefore,
He may do anything to promote his son. He may give up, compromise on dharma.
even though my son is a pappu, I want him to lead the party to its own destruction. And other parties are saying, we will just relax and watch them collapse.
Yeah.
She will never say that, Mera beta, mera jaan hai. She won't identify with a Charvaka. But her belief system is revealed, na?
Yeah.
Ah. Now, remember one thing.
Yes,
When we
sir.
study these schools, we are studying them as separate schools of thought.
Yeah.
In life, you will generally find they are not watertight compartments.
Yeah, they're a mixture.
This is not meant for judgment. This is meant for understanding. What is standpoints? Where to shift from what? Where is the argument against Vedanta coming from?
Shruti. No.
It's a rhetorical question, Sashi.
It may be from Vedantins themselves.
Sashi, you are not listening. Sashi, you are not listening.
I see.
So, keeping this in mind, if it all up to here it is clear, we will move forward. Is it clear? Please nod or raise your hands or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
So one
Yeah.
question I have, Swamiji.
Yes, Sundar.
2 weeks back, you had given some kind of a homework, the class.
Ah.
It's not a homework per se, but
Yeah.
you had said, when you are behaving, think about the seeds of Charvaka in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like, if someone attacks my self-esteem, if I get agitated, how can you attack my self-esteem? Should respect
My thinking, my feeling, my ideas. Yes.
Does it mean that at the level of mind, I associate myself to a greater extent with
No,
mind?
don't be so judgmental. Just understand where it is coming from.
Yeah.
Don't classify yourself. Just say where it is coming from. That much is important. Yeah. Where it is coming from. That's all. Yeah. Where your identification at that point is more. Remember, our identification also shifts. It is not that we are identified all the time with the Atma. Nobody is. Okay. Sunday afternoon after a good meal, you are identified with the all-pervading unconsciousness. Yeah. Happens. So that's okay. What is here when you say, I am this or I am that, what is central to your life? What are your core belief systems? What are your core values? Let us say one of us here enjoys good food. I'm sure all of us here enjoy good food, okay? Yeah, I also enjoy good food. Who doesn't? Yeah. But just because you enjoy good food, is that the core of your philosophy of life? That all your life goes in thinking of breakfast, lunch and dinner? Or do you do other things? Or are other things important? And sometimes some things are so important that you will skip a meal without a thought. Because I'm involved with something important. Yeah. So just because you enjoy the good things of life doesn't make it your core philosophy, okay? So now otherwise you come to my class and I go back with guilt. That's not what the class is about. That's not what the class is about. Not about creating guilt. Yeah. Okay. Now, up to mind. Okay. Now, many psychologists also will function little bit. The simpler level of psychologists will function at that the mind is the most important thing. That does not necessarily make them a Charvaka. Because for most psychologists, inner reality becomes more important than the outer reality. I am not saying all, I am saying many. Pay attention to my words, okay? That does not make them Charvakas, because they have an ethical structure, some priorities, etc. in life. Making sense to you all or no?
Swamiji, just explain again now.
Okay. If you are a psychologist, what are you dealing with?
Mind.
People's emotions, correct? Your emotions, people's emotions. For your emotions are also very, very important. You want to be validated. Have you spoken to psychologists? You should understand. Relating to psychologists is not very easy. Because they are always in that. Arey, choda na bhi baat. No. I have to validate this. So they behave as though maneva atma. Okay. But they have a sense of priorities in life. They have a value structure. Dharma is there. Okay. Therefore, even though they function as a mind is the Atma, etc., they have other things coming in which frees them from the hold of Charvakas. Okay. Can't put them as Charvakas. In fact, if you call them for a party, they will first question your motives. Why are you calling me for a party? A psychologist friend came and told me, I feel lonely, I don't have friends. I said, I'm going to meet my friends today evening, you can join me. Will they like? I said, I'm inviting you, you're coming with me as my friend. They'll welcome you. So this person comes, I introduce them. They all say, hi, Ikea, please, we're happy to have you, this, that, etc. But the person is sitting in a corner. Why? I'm not being invited to become friends, Not a wonder the person is lonely. Right over there. But that still doesn't make the person a Charvaka. Because value structure is there, etc. Priorities is there. So, okay. The Charvaka has only one priority, have a good time. I hope I am making things clear to you all. All of you are staring at me, I can see that. At least some of you I can see. Okay. But, okay. There are any doubts? Shoot. Otherwise, we go ahead. Okay, since no question has come up, the next we handle, okay, some special cases is the Buddhists. The Buddhists are divided into two major classifications. In fact, there are, like in anything, whether it is Christianity, Islam, Jainism, Hinduism, anything, there will always be many sects. Because some teacher became popular and therefore what he propounded became like a sect like. Okay. That's okay, that's not an issue. So how are we looking at it? We are looking at it from what the view of the Atma is about. Keeping that in mind, we have two major sects in Buddhism. One is called Kshanika Vijnanavadin, the other is called Shunyavadin. The Kshanika Vijnanavadin says there is no real I. The sense of I, the Atma, is an illusion created by a series of consciousness. What do you mean by consciousness? That's also important. Just because I use the word consciousness, don't jump to Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Okay? I know once I took a camp. In that camp, I thought it is important for people to be discussing certain aspects of life. So I said, okay, as a discussion, we will discuss the Prophet, the book, The Prophet. Beautiful book. Many of you, I'm sure, have read it. So there was a statement. Don't say, I have found the truth. Say, I have found a truth. I think Meena, Kamini Asrani, Nita Bain and all were there in that camp. So immediately all the people, Swamiji, how can he say something like this? After all, we are finding the truth only. No? Understand the standpoint of the speaker. Here, one second, in my communication workshop, with whom is the intent of the communication? With the listener or the speaker? The intention of what is to be communicated is with the speaker or the listener?
Speaker.
Sure?
Listener. Yeah.
Because my intention has to be equal to my expression, has to be equal to your understanding. So intention always has to be from my standpoint, the speaker's standpoint. So similarly, when the Vijnanavadan is saying that there is a flow of consciousness, he is referring to the consciousness in a similar manner that modern science does. The consciousness that is manifest in a conscious experience. In a conscious experience, what is manifest? Where is the consciousness manifested?
Mind.
In your mind, otherwise called thoughts or buddhi. Okay. Because mind, emotions we are dealt with in the Charvaka school. Let us leave the emotion part out now. We are talking about your thinking, your reasoning. Every thought is a manifestation of consciousness. Where have you seen this elaborately? Which Upanishad? Come on.
Vritti Vyapti and Phal Vyapti.
Nope. Not Vritti Vyapti Phala Vyapti. Chalo, socho thoda. Now, I'm going to push this class a little bit, okay? Because you have to be ready for the higher text I'm going to teach.
Is it Kena Upanishad?
Yes, Martin. Right. Dead right. Kena Upanishad. Bodham pratibodhitam manaha.
That's the only Upanishad that made a lot of sense to me.
Exactly. Smart way of thinking. Even if you don't remember the actual words, it's okay, but you know it has to be from here. Good enough. Yeah. Bodham pratibodhitam manaha. In every thought, what is there is a consciousness manifested. Isn't that the basis for our meditation, etc.? समझिए मेडिटेशन तो 6th chapter गीता में किया था, अभी किधर करता है? Okay, so वो bodham pratibodhitam. Therefore, every thought is a manifestation of the conscious. So, according to the Kshanika Vijnanavadin, this series of conscious thought creates an illusion of a permanent I. Okay? The series of thinking creates an illusion of permanence. Exactly like how you take an alataha. What is an alataha?
Diwali wala.
Diwali wala, barabar. The sparkler or a firebrand or anything. It was translated as firebrand because in olden days that was the torch that you would carry. If you go to a village, including my village when I was a youngster, someone has come and then they're going back. So it's night. We'll give them a torch to carry. What will be the torch? It will be a bunch of palm leaves, the single string palm leaves, all tied together nicely with the leaf on, not with the leaf removed. With the leaf removed, it will become a broom. Okay, the leaf on, and there will be lit. There's a fire to it, and that becomes, so that it serves dual purposes. It keeps any small animal away from you. Snakes, etc. also will keep away because of the fire, and the light is also there for you to see your path and go. So dual purpose it had. Okay. So that is called an alataha. So any firebrand, sparkler, Diwali, etc. It is a single point of light. But when you wave it round, you create an illusion of figures. So similarly, he says, this flow of thought, thinking creates an illusion of a permanent I. Now, keeping this in mind, look at the verse. Baudahastu anyontratma vijnanamayaha. This is the Shruti quotation. Not that the Bauddha believes in the Veda, he doesn't. But for your sake, I am quoting. Your own Upanishad says, there is another Atma called Vijnanamayaha. Vijnanam is consciousness. Ityadi Shrutehe. Not only that, Kartu abhave karanasya shakti abhava. If the doer is not there, where does your mind and body function? It doesn't function. Okay? Therefore, and that is the logic. Kartaham bhoktaham iti anubhava. And you have this anubhava, this experience. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. Therefore, buddhi atmeti vadati. Remember, the Bauddha doesn't take buddhi as the Atma. He takes this alaya vijnanam, the flow of vijnanam, as the Atma. The flow of consciousness as the Atma. We say, remember the Vedantin says, that flow of consciousness you are talking about is nothing but a flow of thoughts. Are you getting the subtle difference? Okay. What is your experience right now? One thought, second thought, third thought, fourth thought, fifth thought, sixth thought. Correct? हाँ क्या नहीं? Nod? Yes or no? Okay. Yeah, okay. So he says, this flow of thinking is your experience or not? With respect to every thought, you have a sense of I or not? Whose thought it is? One thought, second thought, third thought, fourth thought, fifth thought. With every thought, there is no thought. The problem is you have never experienced no thought. वही problem है. Except in deep sleep. Okay, so in deep sleep, do you have a sense of I? You are asleep. If you have a sense of I, then you are not asleep. If you have a sense of I, in deep sleep you are not sleeping. Either you are awake or you are dreaming, one of the two things. Dekha? Therefore, this flow of thoughts, one after the other, there is a flow, alayam, of consciousness, flickers of consciousness. This flow of these flickers of conscious thought is creating an illusion of a permanent I. Understand it. Dismissal we will see later. Understand. Don't let your mind jump into trying to answer it. I see that happening in many of you. That's why I want the videos on, because I can see that happening. It's important to understand first before you agree, disagree, or dismiss. Therefore, these flickers of conscious experiences create an illusion of a permanent I. This is the Bauddha, the Vijnanavadi. Why did it come to that? It came to that because all Buddhistic thinking is experience oriented. They do not accept the pramana of the Veda. Whether Buddha accepted or not, we will come to it in a later discussion. I am talking about those who live as Buddhists. Traditional Buddhists, not Neo-Buddhism. Neo-Buddhism is a political movement. Okay, Neo-Buddhism is a political movement, Ambedkarites. Unfortunately, they don't have much of Buddhism in them. They have some practices, some meditative practices are there. And I have spoken to some Ambedkarite monks also. Like today evening, they'll all be gathering. Today and tomorrow, they'll be gathering at Ambedkar Garden in Chembur. Ambedkar Garden in Bandra also. They'll all be there, yeah. So some of the monks I have spoken to. I'm a monk, I can walk in anywhere and speak to anyone. Yeah. So some meditative practice, etc. But they don't accept the pramanam of the Veda. Because they don't expect the pramana, there has to be experience oriented. And your experience is this. Tell me, do you have an experience beyond you are a karta bhokta? Common experience for everyone. Nahi hai na. Now when the Vedantin looks at the same argument they present, they say, hey, this is what we call buddhi. Those consciousness is nothing but the buddhi. That is why when science make a statement about consciousness also, they are always talking about the consciousness manifested in your thinking. They are not talking about pure consciousness. Because pure consciousness cannot be observed. Your thinking and the consciousness that is manifest in your thinking can be observed and studied, can be measured by instruments. Am I making sense or talking to walls? Some people seem lost. They are staring into the vacancy of space. If there are doubts, please ask. I don't want to rush forward. Where it is merely descriptive, I was okay about rushing it a bit. Here it is not descriptive. It's talking about a standpoint. So if there are doubts, please ask.
Swamiji, what is this point of view as far as I take some action, but the results are not necessarily under my control? Because when we say karta bhokta, they must have definitely experienced this.
Yeah.
That, when I take some action, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen.
So karta is losing control. Success or failure is happening.
So it is random.
No, karmic. They believe in karma.
Okay.
Yeah.
They believe in karma and in the purva janma, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is a lacuna there. Because who is having the purva janma? So there the Buddhists will say, the karma exists in this universal energy. Okay. In this universal energy. And at the time of birth, this illusory jiva is created. That whatever is there manifests. Whatever is there we'll question later. Will manifest through your parents to form the zygote. That is where the sense of I is first born. So you are inheriting karma. Karma is also passed on from genetically or parent to child. So your parents become the nimitta for passing on your own karma to you. So they'll talk about inherited karma. We call it Jing. Those who have studied Tai Chi, inherited karma. Yeah. Your prenatal or your parental energy. Then what you create now from your actions. Remember, the Buddhist world is a very subjective world. Because if Buddhi Rever Atma, everything is inside. There is nothing outside. Therefore, karma phala for them is all inside. Now, all right. In the way the Mimamsakas and the Vedantins look at karma phala, there are multiple layers. Predominantly, when we talk of karma phala, we are talking about the experiences we meet inside, outside in the world, isn't it? Karma phala, what you are going to meet. But your mind is also a product of karma. You come with certain samskaras. So the karma manifests in your mind, we give it a separate name called samskaras. Now that samskaras may be as a result of your childhood upbringing in a particular family, or it may be something brought from a previous lifetime. Even a family that is disinterested about music, a musician is born. Child prodigies are born sometimes. Well, how do you explain that? The genetic thing doesn't explain it. So neither science nor the Buddhist thing explains that. That's previous karmas you have brought in. Yeah. So, but here, as far as the Buddhist is concerned, everything is here because you are subjectivities. You change your inner reality, outer reality has to change for them. That's why the emphasis so much on mastering your mind and changing your inner reality and overcoming your samskaras, rewriting your DNA. They talk like that. Through breathing and meditative practices, you rewrite your DNA. You don't really rewrite your DNA, you only change some patterns of behavior. And some sort of body structure you can change. Some sort of body structure also you can change. I find that happening in my body as a result of that practices. That doesn't mean my DNA has changed. If you take my DNA 20 years ago and now the DNA will remain the same. Some karmic patterns change because I have gone through that karma. Okay, Abhi. Now that karma is over and done with. Now new karma has to manifest from my prarabdha. But according to the Buddhists, it's all inside. Therefore,
Swamiji, I have a question.
Shoot.
If they don't accept the sixth pramana, and it's therefore just the five pramanas, which in a loose sense is, let's say, the senses and all the data that comes from there, then once the person dies, because everything is experience, the experiences are all gone, no?
Correct.
So then how does the inheritance...
Because the mind survives. They also take the mind separate from the body. Yes.
Okay.
Buddhi and mind separate from the body. Because Alaya Vijnanam is there, na? Yeah. So that much they accept. They accept Atma independent of the body. But that Atma is nothing but this flow of thoughts and consciousness. Because when you accept karma, you cannot avoid accepting survival of death, after death. If you don't accept that, you can't really accept karma. Because you can't accept karma and say everything is over with the body. And Buddhists are strong believers in karma. Karma is all important. With the Jains also, karma becomes all important. And if karma is all important, that's why you find a lot of Jains spending huge amount of money in good karma. Huge amount of money they will spend in good karma. Don't ask me how they earned that money. That's a different question. ये तो धंधा है, business है. That is separate. ये तो धर्म के बात है. The Indian mind is capable of making that division very clearly. You know. That is why Indian businesses don't go beyond a point of growth because of the compromises of values and ethics. And somebody sent me an interesting forward. He says, we praise that guy Pichai, Nadella, and who's the latest Twitter CEO? Who's that guy? Parag. We praise all of them. And we curse Ambanis, Adanis, Birlas. We curse all of them. Only we forget one thing. That these three characters, the first group, are all great achievers. They did what was good for them. The later three stayed in this country and built up industries in this country, created jobs in this country, and did what is good for their country and for themselves both. So be careful who your heroes are. It's a digression. Okay, it's a small digression. Yeah, it's a small digression. Yeah. So, Buddha, okay, Bodha, one school of Buddhism, the Vijnanavadins, okay, they are really taking what they call as Alaya Vijnanam, etc., is nothing but your flow of thoughts, okay, flow of thinking. This is also matches with what Descartes said, as I think, therefore I am. I am giving you some connections, not all connections, some connections. Okay? I think, therefore I am. Clear up to now? Doubt hai to puch lo. I have all the time in the world. If you do only one verse, it's okay. Yeah, Sunita.
So since they don't accept the Shabda,
Yeah.
When they explain all this, it ends in belief, no? Then
Yeah. It's a belief plus they have some Buddhist texts which are actually borrowed from yoga, tantra.
so selectively borrowed.
Selectively borrowed. And validated through their experiences. Because see, yoga also is an experiential system. So yoga, tantric practice, etc. Tantra is revealed knowledge. Yoga also to an extent has some revelations in it. But selectively they have taken it up and said, no, this is not the Veda, this is separate. You know. So Buddhism is heavily influenced by Hinduism. In fact, during Buddha's time, he was never considered a separate philosopher. He was considered one of the great teachers of the tradition, one of the great sadhus in the tradition. Because Buddha never said, I am creating Buddhism. He never rejected the Veda himself. He just said eightfold path, live. Live a simple life, clean life. We will see everything else after that. Be a good human being. After that, we will see other things. Which is true.
In a sense, all his teachings are about preparation of the mind.
Yeah, all the teachings there. In fact, even now I would say, most of the teachings, they have taken this preparation of the mind to the nth level, like, Yeah. I've done some of these Buddhist practice. They are taking it to nth level. You don't need all that for spirituality. It's all about siddhis and things like that. For them, spirituality is very often is reduced to siddhis and things like that. Intuitiveness, being able to see what is more. You see like how Sadhguru talks about it. I just have to close my eyes and I will think and I will get that connection, etc. Yeah, so that's a siddhi. It's not spiritual. So that is why one school of Buddhism broke free from that is the Zen philosophers. And when the Zen master is asked, what is the great spiritual feat you can perform? You know what he said? I sleep when I am tired and eat when I am hungry. Which is not a joke. Meaning he goes with the flow of things. Lives a very natural, simple life. So they rejected that extremes. With Buddha also had rejected, actually speaking, in his life. So Buddha was considered one of the great sadhus in our tradition. What goes in the name of Buddhism was written, the text of Buddhism was written 500 years after Buddha's time. One of the most prolific writers that time was Nagarjuna and another person called Ashwagosha. These are the two writers.
So at that time, Swamiji, when it was written, I'm assuming there would have been a lot of debate among the Vedantins of that time, right? Because they could have poked a lot of holes in their thinking.
More than the Vedantins, there was a lot of debate between the Mimamsakas and the Buddhists.
Because of karma.
Karma, exactly. Yeah. That's why we had Kumarila Bhatta. Kumarila Bhatta was one person who was debating against the Buddhists. And he found that because he did not understand Buddhism enough, he could not answer everything enough. So he went and studied. He disguised himself and went and studied from some Buddhist scholars. Now they found out that this character doesn't talk like a Buddhist. He must be a hidden spy. They caught him. Ahimsavadis, okay? They caught him. Took him on top of the hill with the idea of throwing him down the hill. At that time he said, if the Veda is true, I will not die on this. I will not be harmed. So then they threw him down. What happened to the value of ahimsa, I don't know. But okay, but understandable. Some reactions can be like that. Understandable. They threw him down. He survived, but an eye got injured. Then he thought, why did my eye get injured if the Veda was true? Then he said, because I used the term, if the Veda is true. I should have said, the Veda is true and I will not get harmed. It's a story, a legend about his time, okay? So Kumarila Bhatta did answer a lot of Buddhistic thinking. That is why in the flow of thought, after the Vijnanavadin who comes up for discussion is the Mimamsaka. Mimamsaka is the Purva Mimamsaka, the ritualistic portion of the Veda. Ready to go into that? Or you have still doubts about... Yeah, if your question, shoot.
Yeah, I have a doubt. What is this Alaya Vijnana?
Alaya Vijnana, Alaya means flow. Vijnana means consciousness, the flow of thoughts. Yeah.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
I just wanted to share, like lately we had been to this Spiti Valley. So there, in this, all these places, this is all Buddhist. So a lot of monasteries and all. So in this particular restaurant where we had gone, they had a library. So there is this full cupboard full of Buddhist books, and it is written in a different language.
Pali.
The name of the Pali. Maybe I think it was Pali only. And it is like our Bhagavad Gita volumes, He said there are some 20, 25 or so many volumes, and nicely, hardcover books and all that. And he says that here everybody in this place, it was around Shimla, so everybody, they follow this Buddhist thing, everybody follows that
Correct.
only.
Correct.
And all the teachings and the rituals in that. And even near Spiti, in this village, we were just talking to this lady. So we said, do you have any corona cases? So she said, no, our main guy in the monastery, he told us that nobody will go out of the village and nobody will come in the village. So they follow that, the head of the monastery kind of a thing. And then...
Yeah. You have muted yourself.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know whether I said it all, but these books I said were in Pali and all, and the light cover Bhagavad Gita volumes, there are some 20, 25 volumes, and then well-written hardbound books and all that. And everybody in the villages, they follow those books, and all the rituals are all the Buddhist rituals, and full Buddhism is there. And even in Spiti, there was this village where I told that lady that you have corona cases. So she said, no, the head of the monastery, he has declared that nobody will go outside the village, nobody will come inside the village. So everything is decided by that monastery thing, And so there is practically no Hinduism, mostly they said that some of them also follow Hinduism, but mostly everything is Buddhist.
Correct.
Shimla and all those areas,
Correct.
down Spiti and all that. So,
we don't have an issue with that.
Literature.
There is no issue with that.
But they have a lot of written literature.
Yeah. Now, why are we studying and dismissing it? Only to know the truth. If you want to be a Buddhist by religion, we have no issue with that. Number one. Number two, look at how they kept the corona out. They listened to their monastic head. If a Hindu monk were to say it, let us say one of the Shankaracharya said it, what will happen? You will have the whole liberal, leftist media jumping on that statement of trying to control this, that. Correct or not? If the government says it also, they do the same thing. Protest against the government. This stupid leftist and liberal thinking will destroy the whole society, I'm telling you. Liberal in this sense, okay? Not liberal that you are tolerant of everything. If you are tolerant of everything, that's not a problem, that's good. That liberal is different. But I'm saying what is being labeled as liberal now, that is going to destroy it. They are actually protesting in Europe and states against masking. What do you expect will happen? Cases are going up there, no? It's against our freedom. Hey, come on. Have some bloody thinking. Yeah. Don't behave like an idiot just because you have been given some freedom. This is what I would call this leftists and this type of liberals, the arrogance of ignorance. Very ignorant characters and they are arrogant about it. Even look at someone who has had the so-called liberal education. Tell me, in what field are they an expert in? Which field are you an expert in? Someone who has done a graduation in liberal sciences. They call it liberal sciences. Tell me, what are you an expert in? Politics? Someone who has done a BA politics knows more about political this thing than you do. Arts? A BA literature will know more about literature than you do. Some I did calculus also. Really? You did calculus in a liberal art college? How long? 3 months. Bloody hell. As engineers, we do it for 5 years and we still think we don't know enough. Are you getting the idea? Arrogance of ignorance. But they know one thing very well. To be vocal, to come into the media light, to communicate well. These are things we should learn from them. To communicate well, present well. Okay, all that they are good at. Okay, can you all see me? I hope all of you can see and hear me. Yes or no?
Rishi, arrogance or ignorance?
Okay, I am back. If I was a leftist conspiracy theorist, I would have said somebody in the liberal thing is listening to me and therefore he did, he did nothing like that. It is my Wi-Fi problems, okay? Yeah. So,
Swamiji, I had a clarification.
Yeah.
So one can assume that because there is so much focus on being a karta and bhokta and Buddhism,
yeah.
The assumption was therefore as an experiencer you had to give up all the pleasures, and that's why the Eightfold Path.
Yeah. So you have to give up extremes, because to understand the truth of the karta bhokta is through meditation in Buddhism. There is no pramana of the Veda. So it is because of that, it is through contemplation alone. They are good, great meditators, okay? Buddhists are great meditators. Hats off to them. So because there is meditation, you have to live a balanced lifestyle. And if you really have to live by all the Buddhistic practices, either you have to live a village life, okay, of simple farming, this, that, where the pressures of work is limited, okay, and they have enough methods to convert all those things into a contemplative experience, a simple farm life, agrarian society, or you have to be a monk in a monastery. That's why every Buddhist will spend some time in a monastery. Because otherwise, how do you get the meditative experiences? Can you imagine in Bombay being able to meditate for 3 hours every day? I tell people 20 minutes every day, karo nahi karta hai aadmi. I know half the group here doesn't do it. Yeah. 3 hours meditation. Anyone can do in Bombay? Nobody can. Even some of the hardcore people I know who want into that, who have chosen a lifestyle. Like I know one guy who took up a simple teaching job in a school. Why? He was a PT teacher. So no correcting papers at home and things like that. Just earning enough to make a living. Khana pina. Why? Because he wanted to spend all the time on this. So that guy manages a couple of hours every day, 2-3 hours every day he manages. Saturday, Sunday he does about 4 hours, etc. And his wife keeps cribbing about him. Yeah. So it's not easy. Not easy. Yeah. Because it is totally experience oriented. And you are training your mind to be very, very different from what is necessary in today's world. Now, you can use the same contemplation, etc., to make yourself more effective in today's world. That's what the Vedantin does. Whichever world you live in, you learn to be effective. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. You are not bothered about all those other experiences. Why? The pramana gives me the truth. The pramana gives me the truth. Gives me the understanding of the truth. The pramana gives me. Therefore, I'll study the pramana. So 20 minutes. Yeah? Yeah, Sunita, bolo.
I had one more question, which is, therefore, from how a definition of moksha would be very different for each Buddhist, because it's what meditation will take you to.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But there are certain, because now, okay, every master wrote down certain things. Some guidelines of meditation, some guidelines of how to follow what. So now, this has been going right from for 2000 years, more than 2000 years. So now it became a big fat, as Sunita Savla was saying, that it became big fat scriptures are available now. And all of them didn't want the common man to be reading and practicing without the guidance of a teacher. So they wrote it in very, very poetical terms. The fire in the water will meet the water in the fire and things like that. You'll wonder, what is he talking about? Yeah. You're talking about the energy stored in the kidneys, you're talking about energy stored in the heart, how both of them have to meet together. So all the energy work is expressed like this, as riddles and things like that. The masters will understand. So there is where the whole thing is presented like that. Yeah. So now you have a lot of Buddhistic literature. What survived the destruction of Nalanda. Okay. What survived the destruction of Nalanda. Yeah. That is another madness anyway. बराबर कलियुगा ही है. Anything which does not talk about what I talk about will be destroyed. We didn't do that. We have Nalanda. Yeah, please build up, and it is learning, knowledge. You are a prosecutor. Come. You can settle down here and practice what you do. We welcomed people. Yeah. In fact, a Muslim told me once, recently, because of Hindus there is democracy. The moment India becomes Muslim, there will be no democracy. There will only Sharia law. Anyway, those are digressions. Back to this thing. Therefore, that Buddhistic thinking, Kshanika Vijnanavadin takes Buddhi eva as the Atma. From when we look at it, we get that. Okay. Yeah.
So Swamiji, because it was the Eightfold Path, necessarily Buddhists who followed, this paradigm of Buddhism would be generally within Dharma, right?
Yeah, I mean, within Dharma, balanced, good people. They'll be very good people. Yeah. You will rarely find a fanatical Buddhist unless it's a reaction. Like for example, the Rohingya Muslims were driven out of Burma. That was a reaction against the fanaticism of the Muslims. So as a reaction you may find, but normally you will not find it. Like Hindus also, we are generally peaceful people. As a reaction you may find it, yes. But not normal. Normally you won't find it, yeah. And if, again, some people are calling that Burmese Buddhists fanatical, etc., it is again an attempt at labeling and destroying. Back to our friends, the leftists. Look at the papers which will say that. Look at the papers, look at the channels that will say that. It will be very clear.
So I have one more question, sir.
Shoot, no problem.
Which is, we in among Vedantins we say that karma and avidya, cause desires.
Yeah.
Right. So Buddhists would definitely believe that the desire causes karma, but
Yeah.
avidya is something they might not.
No, they will accept some sort of ignorance also, and to know yourself, all that they will accept. But knowing is through experiences, not through a pramana. That is where the difference comes in. And see, we will accept the growth of desires through karma yoga, etc. They will say junk it, drop it. Yeah.
They will resort to meditation, right?
Yeah, meditation.
And the Eightfold Path and.
Yeah. That is why it is important to see that movie, Samsara, Indo-Tibetan production. Hey, when I recommend something, please try and do it, okay? Especially those of you who have got what? Netflix and this and Amazon and all that stuff, no, you'll find it there. All of you watch all that stuff. In that village, the monk said something and the whole village followed. Here the teacher is saying the whole class is not following. Not a wonder they progress, we don't. ऐसे रह जाता है 10 साल का बाद भी. Clear? Anyway, I'm not criticizing you all, I'm just pointing out something, okay? Yeah. Good place to stop. Om Tat Sat.